Welcome everyone back to Pommy How we all doing? And we're here today to talk about Carlton versus Hawthorn in what is, I would not say a make or break, but it's probably close to. So if you are new around here, like and subscribe. Let me know that I'm not just talking to an empty space, which is what is in front of me at the moment. I am talking to real people. Let me know you enjoyed the content. Give me some feedback. Let me know what you hate, like. Just share your feelings, because sharing is caring. And if you are a member of the channel, you're seeing this first, so you are a fucking legend. But if you haven't got a membership, you're a legend too. So thank you very much for that. Carlton versus Hawthorn, 8th versus 10th. The form team versus one of the unformed teams. A team that 6 weeks ago you would have said that this was going to be more one-sided than the conversation you have when your mother-in-law is telling you you're a prick. It's changed. Carlton, off the back of 1 win in 5. Losses to Collingwood, Port Adelaide, Western Bulldogs and GWS with a sultry win coming against North Melbourne. The Hawthorn team are flying at the moment. Sammy's young boys with a mixture of little experience and ruggedness is really showcasing its fearlessness and football. They have got 3 wins in 5, shooting up the ladder. A narrow loss last week to GWS in that battle for the next best, really trying to get Carlton's position now. Wins, massive ones against Adelaide and Collingwood. Decent win against Fremantle as well, and a loss against the experienced Geelong Cats. 2 teams that are really in the hunt. The last 2 times we've played, this time last year almost, just a month difference. 13 months ago, Carlton ran out 60-point winners, where they had that real tight affair the year before, which Carlton dominated. And this is a game here where it's a battle of mindsets here, because Hawthorn are going into this win, lose or draw. Their season is probably a year too early. Not many people, apart from me, predicted Hawthorn could be a smoky for the final. And they're really playing with heart. Carlton, this is a lose-lose situation. They win, they should have beaten Hawthorn. Hawthorn are their young pretenders. They lose and it's game over. Wheels are off. Nuke the joint. So this is a game here where it's a real test of Carlton's psychology, their ability to be above the shoulders, because this game is a thankless task, because it's a game that they should and must win. And that is a big, big mindset shift. Even the bookies can't separate them, with 4 cents separating them. So let's see what the numbers say, and let's see how the boys can get this job done. Gotta say, that intro music is fire. So let's look at the stoppage scores, and you can see here 7th place, 11th. And this is a big concern for the Blues. The Blues have really tried to shift stoppage scores against, and it's affected their stoppage scores for. And this is something we've been drumming on about all year. Who cares if you break even? The quick answer is no one does, and the Blues have tried to make this narrative shift, and it has really, really hit them hard. The Blues have really struggled here, and they've shot down this over the last 5 games. Hawthorn just stabilising, because they're 7th and 11th, which ironically was Carlton's position 6 weeks ago. Carlton now 11th for scoring, 18th, the worst side for stoppage defence. And this has been a big issue because they really are reactive around this position. Something Hawthorn are going to exploit, something Hawthorn need to play that extra man, which we know causes chaos. And with the stoppage differential, they are the 7th best side. And this is what I told you. If you can be top 8 for this, and top 3 for everything else, no one cares. The Blues have really focused on that stoppage against, and it has cost them dearly, and they're the 2nd worst differential side. This has gone from the number 1 strength 2 years ago to the worst, and it just shows you how quickly it is when you try and mess with the balance of the side. Another stat that is shooting down at the moment is turnover scores for the Blues. The Blues massively suffering, and this is really showing how bad it was, because 6 weeks ago Carlton were number 1 for this stat, and number 1 and 2 for all of these stats. The best turnover defence side and the best differential. And this is starting to be affected as they pull people out of the middle of the park to try and rifle the bleeding, particularly the forward half of the ground. Half forwards now being jettisoned in the midfield around stoppage to stem the bleeding. And they're getting more and more defensive, which is taken away from their scores, which is then reflecting on their goals and making the differential worse. And you can see here, 4th best defence from stoppage versus the 6th. This is very even, but you see the turnover against. Turnovers 4th, 3rd versus 9, 54.6 versus 49. This is a key battleground here More so for Hawthorn, because the more pressure they put on Carlton's midfield to create intercepts also reflects on Carlton's ability to defend from stoppage as they pull more and more players away. This is a real area here of discipline, being first to the ball and real application and not allowing yourself to let that flag go. At the moment, the best analogy I can give you is it's why in old Victorian warfare and predate that, it was important to steal the opposition's flag. If you could get the opposition's flag, the Roman eagle, it was a real show of lowering the colours. And the Blues here have got to stop lowering their colours and make sure they're up for the task. This is a key battleground here, that if the stoppage is bad, that turnover never depreciates and they back what their culture is. The defensive half is really starting to feel the pain. A team that was top 5, now 9, 31.8, losing points every week versus a team now that was so far away from them that they are now currently 8th. Defensive half against, you've got the second best defence versus the 5th, 28.6 from Blues, Hawthorn 26.6. And the defensive half differential, Carlton the 5th best versus the 4th. This is just showing that when Carlton start to sacrifice forwards away from the defensive half of the duty in the back half of the opposition, we really make it easy for them, which has really affected our defensive half scores because then there is less movement and players leading from deeper avenues, which is making that long kick become even worse. And the forward half generation massively shot down, backing up that synopsis. This is something that Hawthorn need to do. They want Carlton to deploy less players in their back half of the ground, in Carlton's forward 50, and create that space and make that pressure come on later and later. And you can see here that Carlton are the 11th best differential side in the forward half to the 3rd. A key battleground and a key battle area for the Blues to make sure they apply that pressure sooner and longer. We haven't seen these numbers be good until they've got to throw it away. That last 15 minutes spurt where there's nothing to lose, where the Blues release that pressure and that shackles and they play with freedom. The Blues have to play with freedom from the off because Hawthorn, when they've got ball and they've had control, one of the best sides over the last 5 games have been able to control that game. Score sources and press, and this is where it all is. And the centre-bound score generation, as you would expect, really good. But backing it up, the second worst from the Blues, 17th place, 14th. You can see here, Carlton, the 5th best scoring side from centre-bounds. Should be. But their defence is one of the worst, and it shows how higgledy-piggledy it is at the moment. The Blues really struggling to knuckle down and have that identity. This is something that is so annoying because they can do it, and it's in them. They've just got to own that identity of it's going to be ugly, and they've got to ignore what Daniel Hoyne and the press say. It's ugly football and it's dirty football, and dirty football is good, and this is why that differential so warped. As you can see, it's very even for Hawthorn. 15th and 14th to have a differential of 15th makes sense. What that means is it's very balanced. Carlton's is very unbalanced. 5th and 17th to be one better differential than them at 14th says it all. And the pressure act's my favourite one. We always talk about the pressure acts against, and I always used to say it doesn't really matter if the Blues aren't good in this area. It's because they're a good football side and they're really playing freedom and teams are having to struggle. You can see here Carlton starting to fluctuate down in the pressure acts 4 because they're chasing the ball. They're trying to find something. Hawthorn, one of the worst sides for pressure acts. It's that ability of being a team system, not an individual system. And that's where the Blues are reliant in the last 6 weeks on Curnow, Cripps, Wheaterin. It's become an individual system as opposed to a system. And pressure acts against, you can see 12 versus 17. This is an area here where the Blues are going to have to be steady here because Hawthorn haven't been succumbed with pressure. It's been a system breakdown, and for system breakdown to happen, it's got to be run and stun or great kicking, and the Blues are the best run and stun side in the league when they know that identity, working together, pulling the system apart. And you look here, the tackles, Carlton the 6th best tackling side versus the 8th. Pressure manifests in 2 ways, either through the action or the tackling, and the Blues we can see have started to shoot up in this avenue where before it was the pressure acts and the implied pressure was killing sides, allowing them to set traps in the midfield. Recently it has gone the other way where the Blues are at desperation making the tackles. And this is going to be really interesting here. The Blues need to be in the position to instill the position, not desperation, to be controlled in its aggression. And at the moment, as you can see, it's the flag flying when it's a losing effort. And the tackle inside 50, backing up everything we've said. The Blues have really struggled of late to put that pressure on early, to put that pressure on quickly, and to really stifle the opposition's ability to build up play in the back half of the ground. Being the worst differential side versus the 9th. This is an area here that Hawthorn thrive on. Manic pressure, worrying you early. The first stage of your ability to use the ball is in trouble. The Blues have got to be up for this task, take on the first wave of defence and put their own pressure on. And the territory, this is coming down for the Blues. The territory defence has been really good, 6th versus 4th, but their ability to, because they're moving players out of the forward half, the pressure's coming later in the midfield. There's no longer the incentive that we saw in the last 10 minutes of the 4th. Get the ball moving forward. You know you're not a good kicking side. The pressure will make up for it. You'll make chances. The Blues have got to go back to this differential where that territory 4 was so high. Imperative the Blues find that data quickly, because now it's going into no man's land. And this is why they've shot down to where they have done in the ladder. This is a key area here that we'll know very early on. Carlton's centre bounce and stoppage differential is best when they're either running it through or creating opportunities ahead of the ball to just get it away from trouble and create one-on-ones naturally. The Blues have got to make this space for each other by playing the territory game. And the efficiency areas are really painting the story. Not a massive marking side, the worst one in the league, Hawthorn, and this is where that pressure comes in. Carlton are a strong-ish marking side. These are woeful numbers, though, because the ball movement is so stagnant from back half to middle that they're not playing the territory game, that it allows teams to set and double up on their key forwards. The ball doesn't get there quick enough. And it's one of the worst sides at moving the ball from the back half of the ground because it's so slow. Even though their rebound 50 rates are strong, this is a big area here, and the Blues have got to target this area by playing the ball quickly into their forwards. And the goals inside 50 really shooting down. We were 3rd only a couple of weeks ago. We're now 10th, and Hawthorn shooting up. That quick ball movement, winning the ball back, getting that territory quickly, getting moving forward, playing with the ball at the deck is so imperative. And the scores per inside 50 and the goals shooting down for the Blues. And this is an area here that the Blues have got to adjust. The Blues need to move the ball quicker, with more purpose, with more identity, and particularly more pressure when the ball isn't targeted. This is a big area for the Blues this week. They've got to be up for the task. And the rebound 50 rates, because it's so methodical and it's so repeat entries against, is starting to plummet. Carlton now the 11th best rebound 50 rate, and they were 2nd only 6 weeks ago. And the rebound 50 against, because Carlton were one of the best sides, they were the hardest side to play only 6 weeks ago, they're now 7th. That forward pressure, so important. The Blues have got to find that area now and really put that forward pressure on. The earlier, the better. And the intercept marks, this is a real area here. Blues are starting to double up, panic, flood the back line. And when you flood the back line, like when you flood the forward line, it means you've got less space to peel off and take intercept marks, because then you're running into each other. We're seeing this quite a lot in the back half of the ground now. Particularly last week, you saw Kemp, McGovern, Wheater at times go up for the same ball because it's so condensed there's no space to peel off loose. This is an area that Hawthorn are one of the best at. One of the best at their ability to create space and free Sicily up. The Blues have got to go back to that. But you can see the one-on-one loss, shooting down. This was, again, a number one stat. One-on-ones, the midfield pressure creating one-on-ones against, meaning Carlton always won it. Now they're getting it overloaded, and it's been repetitive. And the contested possession, this is an area here that the Blues have got to start getting better. Start getting better at. Even though they're a contested beast side, their ability to defend against contested possessions is plummeting, and that is a key area of concern. This isn't a defensive problem, this is a midfield forward problem, and the midfield pressure recently has been non-existent, and its midfield ability to release pressure has been non-existent. This is an area that when you've got Jai Newcomb, you can start asking questions of the Blues, and this will be an area that, like we said last week, win it around stoppage, cause the questions, make Carlton start to flood areas so space isn't there for them to use the ball, but also space isn't there for them to defend. This is a big area for the Blues to go back to out of force with no Chera, Kennedy, Hewitt and Cripps, and then play the loose players around, win the contested ball, be the dirty side, a big battleground. And the score prediction is not good for the Blues. The first time in 3 weeks we've seen this where we're losing. It's stacked against the Blues. This is a game they can win. They have to go back to the identity and the brand that they had 6 weeks ago. Easier said than done, but that game was full of role players running together and doing your role and being selfish in your positioning because you backed your man. The Blues have got to go back to basics. At the moment, the roles are too nuanced and complex. The Blues can win this and will win this, and the way they've got to do it is be the bully mindset. Go Blues, bring back them 4 points, boys. Peace, love and light.
I see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy body full of tats. Baby's bad, oh baby's hella